This is Vicki Gervais from the Greater Gainesville Chamber, and I'm so happy to welcome Xavier Monroe today. He is one of our candidates for the Florida House of Representatives, District 21. Welcome so much, Xavier. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks for the opportunity, Vicky. I'm looking forward to our conversation and talking about this race.
Terrific. I will give you a minute or two just to introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll jump right into the questions.
Sure. I want to thank you all again for the opportunity to have this discussion. I'm Xavier Monroe, actually Dr. Xavier Monroe. That's important because folks don't expect someone that went to Rollins Elementary, Bishop, and Eastside to go to the University of Florida, the University of Michigan, and Stanford University to finish a PhD. But it shows what good things can happen when we have family and community working together to invest in our futures. And that's been the story of my family. My mom's side of the family has been in Gainesville since the 1950s. We've been told my dad's family has roots going back to Rosewood and Levy County. My dad worked the horse farms in Ocala. My mom made a career switch to become a elementary school secretary and has helped not only just our family navigate that system, but thousands of individuals. And that's the type of heart that's driving this campaign. One that's grounded in faith and in community and family and looking for better opportunities and days ahead. And so I am a Floridian through and through, and a Floridian that understands the importance of business and particularly our small businesses, because I have family members that own small businesses and medium-sized businesses, from farming all the way to the cleaning industries. And so it's important that we look at where we are as at the present and where we can go together in the future.
Perfect. All right. Very good. Well, that's a perfect segue into if you were elected, my first question, what would be your top priorities and projects?
Thank you. That's an important question. And I continue to tell folks the policy, the legislation, the debates we will have for House District 21 has been on our website since day one in September. That is to say, hey, healthcare, affordability, education, environmental stewardship, and smart growth. Those are all the things that are, I believe, important, not just to people, but the businesses and the business owners that create opportunities for the people in our communities. And we've outlined all of that on XavierForFlorida21.com. But it's about being pragmatic and practical and getting things done in Tallahassee for this area. I ask folks, I haven't seen in my research any bills being passed by folks that have held the seat recently or money coming to our communities. And so for, organizations like the Chamber, and I'm glad to have the endorsement of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, I'm talking about what does it look like to have apprenticeship and workforce development opportunities with our businesses? What does it look like to do that in the farming and agricultural sector? What does it look like to do that in our utility sectors? What does it look like to do that in our professional services sectors? And so having those type of partnerships and sending the resources back from Tallahassee to make that a reality, bolstering our small businesses, whether they be mom and pop shops, family, generational past businesses to individuals, making sure that they can survive and thrive, because they provide the economic engines for communities like ours, and particularly a district that has Alachua and Marion County in them, because you have different types of economic sectors that we have to pay attention to, from educational down to, as I said earlier, the horse industry. And in that, we have to think about the next generation of individuals that we need to prepare for those types of opportunities, or even opportunities that we don't know will come. Because right now, my day job looks at AI's impact and other emerging technologies on the workforce and skills development and our regional economies. And so we have to have those types of conversations and do it authentically, meaningfully, and make sure that we're bringing about results.
Very good. And again, you touched upon this a little bit, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a little more in detail. What particular skills and experiences would you bring to office?
Sure. This is a good question. I ask folks, do your homework on everyone. Yeah, and when we get in elections, people like to stretch the truth a little bit and say what they need to. I say, do your homework. That's why our campaign slogan is a voice that is true, your voice that is true and stands with you. And we'll start locally. I served as the NACP Youth Council president when I got back from serving as a congressional page Cliff Stearns nominated me to serve as a congressional page in Washington, D.C. during the junior year of high school. So I saw the legislative process up and close. And when I got back, I wanted to get and stay involved in our community. So I helped recharter the NAACP Youth Council president when we had relationships with law enforcement, local law enforcement, because we had issues of theft in youth and lack of opportunities, particularly when it came to jobs. We had relationships with our health department. We had an increase in teen pregnancy and STDs, and so making sure that we could do that type of education and provide the resources. We did civic engagement. We worked with the supervisors of elections office to do a mock election. This is about 2008 across all of our county high schools. We worked with the League of Women Voters to propose questions for their forums. And we also had youth doing census, going along with folks and doing the census intake during 2010. So preparing the next generation of leaders. That transitioned to me being on the library board of trustees, where we got libraries built. Cone Park was my pet project. Yeah, I don't mind saying pet project because we got a library in an underserved community. What came with that? You had wraparound services that were housed in the library. You had literacy stations. You had teen spaces. You had adult spaces. You also had programming that brought infrastructure to that part of town off of Lake Road. Now you have a broadband access. And now a park developed around the library. So thinking big and having a vision to get things done. That was supposed to be a part of Plan East Gainesville. It had sat on the shelf for 30 years collecting dust. We got it done. But on top of that, all of our libraries now will have been renovated or rebuilt. That is work we started in 2013. And we also got to recognize that our libraries provide opportunities for people to do job searches or get resumes done or have access to the internet when they don't have it at home. And so thinking about the partnerships that could exist, to doing policy work across the nation. I've done strategic planning with school districts in Michigan and in California, mid-sized to large-sized school districts, and how you make those institutions work better for those that are their stakeholders, whether they be students, families, educators, or the larger community. I've done some of that work, but policy work behind the scenes with the local elected officials. That's why the local elected officials are endorsing this campaign from the majority of the school board members, and not everyone on the school board, as we are seeing, gets along. And so it's doing that work to working on Capitol Hill for a ranking member of transportation and infrastructure, two important things that are important for businesses to have in place to succeed. Where we were talking about, workforce development and certifications and trainings, particularly for our individuals in the military, because if you can have high-powered weaponry and you know how to operate that, you should certainly be prepared to do work with emerging technologies when you get out, to training individuals in schools, or looking at what we could do with our Department of Defense schools and training those students for opportunities in emerging technologies and AI. To doing that type of work now with a funding agency that's across the nation, to look at AI's impact on our economies and workforce development and skills development, and how education has to change with that, and how sectors have to be prepared to do that work. So doing all of that work from the local level all the way up to the national level has prepared me for this opportunity, and to convene our communities together to get the resources we need from Tallahassee, to make sure that we are showing them that we are a diamond in the rough. Don't look over Alachua County and Marion County, because together we are a strong force, an economic force. There are 5,000 farms in this district alone. We can do some work and have economic opportunity for everyone. And so, but you got to have the experience. You got to know how to make friends of enemies. We don't change our values. We don't change what we want to get done. We just learn how to work together and do it well for the common good. And so having a lifetime of doing that. I mean, I'll go back from, Rawlings to Bishop to Eastside to the University of Florida, University of Michigan, Stanford University. You got to learn how to make friends of a lot of folks, a lot of different folks, and as different cultures. I haven't changed my accent going across the nation, but I've certainly changed how I think and view the world. And that's the type of vision that we need to together collectively and our leader in Tallahassee. And it's time. It's time for change. It's time to do something a little different. It's time to bring results for our region.
Very good. All right. The next question, we've heard a lot of discussion about it already, and it's only going to ramp up over the next couple of months. And that question is, what are your thoughts on the property tax amendment that's going to be on the ballot in November?
Sure, it's no secret I am a Democrat running in this open primary. And as a Democrat, I still don't want to have to pay as much taxes as we're paying. So I agree. If we can give some relief with folks at when they are paying bills when it comes to tax relief, I'm all for it. However, we got to make sure the butt was coming. It
There's
was
always
coming,
the
Xavier. It was
but.
coming. However, we got to make sure that we're doing it in the most constructive and prudent ways. We can't, rob Peter to pay Paul. We got to make sure that we are still making the necessary investments in our public infrastructure, that we're still providing for our educational systems, that we're still providing for public safety, that we're still taking care of our parks and for instance, take the library. If with this amendment as it currently stands, Children's Trust funding that we voted for in Alachua County and in our public libraries, which is the envy of many folks across the state and the nation, those funding sources would be in jeopardy. They would have some big cuts. Our smaller municipalities would take a big hit, and even our larger municipalities would have to have some tough budget tightening. And so, I have to have some more questions answered as far as what will replace the lost revenue. Are we going to make sure that we're truly reducing the tax burden on folks? And are we going to sustain the necessary provisions of government to do its work and to provide for the people as it should be? Because government creates the opportunity for the private sector to flourish, and if government can't do that, then our private sector is in jeopardy. So as it stands now, I cannot support the tax amendment that'll be on the ballot because we still have too many questions unanswered, and we can't play chicken with people's lives and expectations of government, particularly during this most critical time in our nation and state.
Mhm. Okay, very good. My fourth question for you is Florida moving in the right direction or the wrong direction?
So I was also a former, teacher, public school teacher at Lake Forest. So I tried to have my students think critically and not think in binary.
Mhm.
Uh, and I will say this. I have been a little bit concerned about the current state of Florida. It does not feel as if it has been as welcoming of everyone, and we've got to speak up about that and talk about that, whether it's women's right or if it's the rights of those in other marginalized communities. Everyone should feel welcomed to be in the Sunshine State. And I often tell folks I've always loved the Sunshine State, even though it may not have always loved me. And so we got to make sure that we're not replicating some of the harms of the past. But there are some bright spots. Let's point out the bright spots. Florida, you can get a good public education, particularly at the university level, and it is affordable, or at least more affordable than it in other places. So tuition. Now, a number of folks, from students to parents, are complaining about the cost of living, and that includes everything from groceries to apartments to gas. We got to work on that. We do. But you can get a good public education at Santa Fe College or the University of Florida, and in Central Florida in Ocala. And so that's a bright spot. We got to keep that going. So I'm excited to see what the new university president does and what the current president of Santa Fe and Central Florida continue to do. Because there's a number of partnerships we can have there. Another bright spot is people obviously see that Florida is the place to live and move. But it seems to be squeezing those that are already here and changing the fabric in ways that people may not want to see. So that's why smart growth, sustainable growth, and balancing that with our environment is a part of this platform. We have to have those conversations, and I think that represents a bright spot. How do we balance sustainable growth and maintaining our character? So that's another bright spot. I think another bright spot comes in just our willingness to see better, because we have so many industries in this state. It's agriculture, it's high and emerging technologies, it's intellectual thought. So it's everything from K-12, our public schools, to our universities. That represents the future of our state, this area especially, and our nation. So we got to look at the bright spots. We got to build on those, and we also got to recognize that there's more between us than not. And when we get back to the focus on that belief, and seeing each other for the opportunities that we can have and make possible, I think it'll be a little bit brighter in the Sunshine State. But we need the right voices in office to make that happen. People that are coming with their heart and their minds to bring the necessary change. And I certainly believe that time will come on August 18th, particularly for this seat.
Very good. All right. And then final question is one of those great wrap up things that we like to do, which is why should the local business community support your campaign?
Thank you for that question. It's an important one. One, no, the Florida Chamber of Commerce has already put their seal of approval on our race and myself. I'm having the conversations with businesses as I'm having the conversation with people. We were the only campaign to not pay our way on the ballot. We got the petition signed, collected almost 2,100 signatures to get on the ballot. We're talking to people. That includes a lot of business owners. And so you can believe I will do the hard work. I will listen. I will have an open mind. But I've also had the experience to do that, as we talked about earlier, to make things happen. And I think that's what we need right now. I know that's what we need right now. And people have said that's what they want to see. And so you're talking to someone who's been an educator. So we got to prepare our individuals for workforce opportunities and the skills and the jobs that exist and that will come. We've also got to support our businesses as they do the upskilling and reskilling, and implement technologies or ways of thinking that bolster their businesses. We've also got to look for the connections that should be existing between our schooling system and our businesses. So the apprenticeships we talked about. So that's the vision that we can implement if we move with it. And so you need someone that can have the vision, that makes it plain, that works with people to get these things done. That's how businesses are successful. That's why government has to create the opportunities for the business sector to flourish. And you're speaking to someone who has grown up with family members who have owned businesses, started small businesses, grown those businesses, whether it was in the cleaning industry or if it was the technology and consulting industry or counseling or agricultural. And those are the lessons that I have learned and taken with me. And that's the type of thinking we need, because having a small business is not easy. Running any type of business is not easy. But when you do it well, it creates opportunities not just for the business, but the environment and the people around it. And that's what we got to get back to. And we've been talking about that issue in this campaign since we were the first to sign up in September. And so, I'm asking folks, to say, hey, healthcare, affordability, education, and environmental stewardship and smart growth. Those are the tenets, not just of this campaign, but I believe of this region, to bring the opportunities that we can see happen. And to remember on August 18th, X marks the spot. I know ballots are out, but remember X marks the spot, and that there will be a voice in Tallahassee that delivers. And we've had enough of talking. It's time to deliver, and that's important for our business community as well.
Very good. All right. Well, those were the questions I have, and we have another minute or two. So if there's anything else we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention, or you can just close us out and send us all on our way.
Sure. Thank you, Vicky, for
Floor
this.
is yours.
Thank you, Vicky, for this opportunity. I thank the chamber for the work you all do in this area to support businesses and bring businesses together. I know these are hard times. But hold on, help is on the way. There's always sunshine in the Sunshine State, and all we got to do is believe and make it happen. And so I'm glad we're having these conversations. I look forward to having continuous conversations to August 18th and beyond. Because I tell folks we're all going to Tallahassee. You might not have to fill up your tank, so we'll save that expense. But one person cannot get this done alone, and so I'm glad that we will have institutions like the chamber to keep moving this work forward. And just remember, X marks the spot. That's how we get that change done in Tallahassee.
Very good. And I'm going to echo what Xavier has told us today in that we are a community. We need to be working together on our community goals. One of the key ways we do that is to elect our representatives to be our voice. And at the chamber, we think it is vitally important to make your voice heard. So August 18th, however you like to vote, mark your calendar, make it happen. Thanks again so much. It was very nice talking to you today, Xavier. Good luck out in the campaign trail.
Thank you.